My fellow Total Warians, it has been quite the crazy month for Total War if you think about it. We had Napoleon Total War for mobile release on December 2nd. We had the Total War event on December 4th that, showed us Medieval 3. We had the 11th where we finally got Warhammer 40k revealed. And then we had December 12th, when the Dawnless Days mod was released for Total War Attila. And now, on December 14, Total War Attila has, for the first time in 9 years, honestly, is it longer? it's in 9 years, right? Reached 11,000 concurrent players, and it's because of the Dawnless Days mod, the Lord of the Rings mod for Total War Attila that has just released its campaign mode, as I have covered quite extensively on the channel. I want to make this video because it's quite the accomplishment, I will say, for a game that, many of us love, but not enough of us to really show how much Attila, or I guess how good Attila can be. Mostly this game has around 3,000 players on any day. It used to have maybe around 5, but 11,000 players on the day when something new for it comes out. And obviously this new thing is Lord of the Rings, right? The mod. But it is such a honestly, I'm astonished myself. It is insane to see Attila at 11,000 players. Probably the current most played Total War game right now, I think, probably after Warhammer 3. Even Rome 2 doesn't reach these numbers. This is just insane. And I think it tells us more than one thing. Many people have followed the development of the Dawnless Days. It is an incredible achievement to have it finally here, and people are starving for, I think, this type of Total War content. But it also shows that when you release something for an older game that is beloved, right, despite its flaws, the fans will come back. And I think I think one thing this shows is that if CA had actually made something new for Attila, if they had made, went back and done updates, people would be much more likely to come back to this game. God knows it's a great game, it just has issues, right? But somehow the Dawnless Days, without being an official expansion, without having the marketing power of an actual company, these people who have worked on this thing as a hobby for almost a decade, right? They have managed to bring people back. And what's insane is that right now, 10 years after the game's launch, more than, we see almost half the player base from launch day come back to celebrate in this mod that so many of us have been waiting for a long time. It's kind of crazy. Now, it's obviously a fact that Attila is not technically the last or latest historical Total War game. Obviously, we had Pharaoh, dynasties, blah blah blah, right? But they never felt the same, really. And I think that's why I tend to call Attila the last true historical game. So far, obviously, we will have Medieval 3 soon, but I've seen a lot of people complain about releasing the Dawnless Days for Attila due to the engine or due to the game being kind of old. But honestly, I think there is no game that fits the Lord of the Rings quite as well as the Attila engine. And it's because it is the last Total War game so far that has felt kind of realistic in a way. Neither Warhammer 1, Three Kingdoms, Troy, Pharaoh, they don't feel the same. And I do not think that it's a matter of the time period. I think it's a matter of the engine. And a lot of things changed between Attila and Warhammer 3 or even Troy. Attila has that feeling of realism intact, and the Lord of the Rings, it is a fantasy universe, obviously, but it's still one that feels, it's low magic. It's kind of a medieval-like universe without going over the top, like Warhammer tends to do. And so I think Attila was always the perfect game for this mod. However, me and others like me have for years now attempted to, have CA come back and work on Attila. Attila especially, because the game is so good, but its engine or technical foundations, or should I say limitations, keep people from going back. It can be laggy, it can be buggy. The UI is purely made for 1080p or lower screens, making it tough for anyone with a 4K monitor or even the 1440p one. Although it's easier, it's tough to go back to it. But people go back to things that they love, and I still think, I hope that this is something that this is physical evidence, real evidence that people do return to games they love if there's something new and exciting on offer. Obviously, there is a big difference between, releasing a Lord of the Rings game essentially and a minor patch, but it is something new. It remains something novel to go back to such an old thing. And honestly, I have read many people who have never owned Attila admit that they bought the game just for this one. It says something about how important modding can be to a game's longevity, to a game's resurgence even, and its overall sales. Modding is a public good. It's something that makes us come back to these games. Even though many mods obviously do not manage to accomplish the same thing that the Dawnless Days has managed to do here, it is something mods do. It keeps us gaming longer. And I just feel like CA, Attila, yes, it is 10 years old, almost 11 actually, but Attila still feels so new. It still feels like a modern game. It looks beautiful, even now. And if the lag is fixed, if those shortcomings were fixed, like the bottlenecks and blah blah blah, Attila would feel like just a new awesome game, honestly. And I think this shows that, the historical fans are there, or the fans of Lord of the Rings, but they very much overlap, I think. Just look at how every Total War game focused on, the old combat has a Lord of the Rings mod to it, and it's basically the most popular mod for the game, right? Yeah, I guess, I'm kind of rambling, but I wanted to show my appreciation for the Dawnless Days, and I think it's kind of I wouldn't say it's emotional, but I think it's unreal almost to see Attila at 11k at 11k concurrent, when this game has been around 2 to 3 ever since the past years, and never reached 11k for the past 9 essentially. So yeah, I wanted to give a major congrats to the Dawnless Days modding team. I wanted to wish all of the new and old Attila players welcome to the game, and say enjoy the game, both the mod and the main game itself. It has an amazing campaign, one of the best in Total War history actually. And to CA, I hope that this kind of shows you that, the historical players are here. Attila is a game with so much promise. It's an amazing game. Please go back and fix it. Give it a 64-bit engine, fix the shadow, bugs, give it a 4K UI patch, whatever. Just go back to Attila. It's such an amazing game. It's such an amazing game, and I hope more people will come to see that as they play Dawnless Days, and as they hopefully dive into the campaign as well. So yeah, an amazing milestone for Total War Attila, for Total War modding as a whole, and I hope that it shows this TA that, you know, the older games still very much work when we want them to. Let me know if you have played Dawnless Days and if you have contributed to the spiking player numbers. Let me know what you think of the mod, and if you haven't played Attila, the actual campaign before now, you know, like the Western Eastern Roman campaign and so on, do let me know if you're going to do that or your thoughts on them, and you know, have a great rest of your day. And of course, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and all of that jazz. And I will see you in Middle Earth, my friend. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, cheers.